what is your educational journey like? What has it been? Because you are currently pursuing a doctorate. I myself am pursuing my MBA, and so we're at the like tail end of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What's going on? Like, what made you decide to go back and say, I want to, keep reaching higher, pursue my doctorate? The reason why, and what is it like for you?
So, let me tell you, when I graduated with my MBA in 2012, my storyline was, I am not going back to school until God comes, unless, not even until, because I really didn't have the expectation. I never thought I would be going back. I said, unless God comes down, sits at the table with me and says my full entire name, you need to go back to school.
Really?
So I had no intentions of going back to school. And so it's funny that I found myself just surrounded with people who were going back to school, who were pursuing their doctorate, pursuing their PhD. But not only that, in the work that I do, I have to do a lot of studying. I have to do a lot of research. So I said, if I have to do it anyway, I might as well make it worth something.
Right, yeah.
And so I was talking to a girlfriend about it, and she said, oh, you'll do it. Before you know it, you'll be registered and you'll be done. Just call these people.
Okay.
And I called, and before I got off the phone, I had an email set up, a login account. I was registered.
And you didn't even know it was going to be like that. Yeah.
This is easy.
Right.
That was the easy part, of course. And so that's how I ended up back in school. But as I said, a life learner, you have to be if you really want to add value to people. Not even about your success, but about significance in life. And if you really want to do that, you have to keep learning yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup.
Sure.
And so I started back, and before the first class started, I literally sat in my office and cried. Because I said, what in the world was I thinking? Can I do this?
Yeah.
And so somewhere in my own subconscious, I had rationalized that a doctorate degree was beyond my scope of capability.
Really?
I know.
And the outside looking in, no one would think that about you.
I tell you. And that's the thing. I don't know where it comes from.
Okay.
I don't know where it comes from. I don't know who said I couldn't do it. I'm trying to track back.
Yeah.
I just don't know. But somewhere in me, I did not think I could do it.
Really?
And so I took that as a challenge to myself and said, well, we're here now. So
let's do it.
Let's do it. And so it's been tough. It really has been, full transparency. But I also think it's been so developmental for me. And it also aligns with the work that I do.
Yeah.
So it also really makes me feel like, and not even just through a feeling, but a knowing that I am a subject matter expert in the work that I do. And so when I show up, I'm not showing up like I think. No, I know this because I've studied hours.
Hours, right? And I've written papers. Hours and hours of research about this particular topic.
Yes.
Yeah. So what year did you start?
I started in, 24? So I started in 2021, I believe.
Okay.
2021, yeah.
Yeah. So you've really been persistent,
Yeah, and a lot of life has happened too. And I think that's a testament to, it wasn't my choice to go back. This was all a God thing, because had it been my choice, I think I would be sitting somewhere eating bonbons. Like, I don't need this smoke, you know? But it definitely has been tough. And during this journey, we moved back here. Then I started school, but then my mom got sick, and then my son, he relocated back. Then my daughter's getting married. She got engaged. She found her person. So just all of the life things, and you want to be a part of that.
You want to be present.
And you want to be present.
You want to be present.
And that's just the small family. Now, let's not talk about the church and all the people you love there, and the job and all of the things there. And then as an entrepreneur, all of the things you have to show up for to make sure that people know that you're out here doing this work. And so you're just navigating all of that. But it's been worth it. So I would encourage anybody, if they know their why and if they're clear on their why.
That's good. If they know their why. I want to go back to when you talked about it's been like a journey of development for you. Like what has that done for you? And because you stated that you're a lifelong learner, and typically people that are taking those journeys are lifelong learners. So what has this been like for you developing? Like where do you feel that you have expanded?
Definitely in, I'll say it this way. Faith teaches you to have grace, right? Faith teaches you to believe in the things that you can't see. Faith teaches you faith without works is dead, and it teaches you all of those things. But the academic piece of it really, and people talk about the separation between church and state and the science and the faith, but really once you start to dig into that stuff, it reinforces your faith. It's like, studies prove that, people who, for example, who are faith-based, who have a relationship with God, that those are happier people. There are statistical data points that confirm that stuff. So you think you're doing something out here by yourself, but not so much. Yeah. And so from a developmental perspective, I just understand the why and the how a little bit more. And it also broadens your I think capability and skill set in yourself. Meaning that, as I was saying, when I first started, I didn't think I could do it. And now I'm reading all these research papers and I'm like, these just people too. They just did some research and figured it out. I can do research and figure it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it just makes things a lot more digestible and attainable for you, because now you have a sense of that. When it's the unknown, you tend to hesitate. I tend to hesitate. But now that I've leaned into it, I'm like, I can do this. Right.
Yeah. My experience, I didn't know it was coming. So I was just in conversation with a colleague and we were talking, and then he finished the program, and then I said, maybe I should look into it. And that's what happened. And I was on that journey, and I started the graduate program over 12 years ago. And so I was just like, wow. And that's how the journey started. Yeah. But the funny thing is, because I'm a lifelong learner, I was already doing so much studying on business. And the way that my program is set up, it is literally how I was studying at home. Because I'm doing online. And so it's just so funny how things work, because a year prior, when I tell you, I was just always studying this and looking into that and looking into that as it relates to business. And so then I didn't know that I was going to be going to school for business a year later. And the development piece is really key. It shows you, because I do think, we have that confidence, but it shows you who you really are made of.
Yep. And now let me ask you this, and I know this is conversational, so I just want to throw this in. When you were studying business on your own, and then you went to school and it was teaching you maybe a little bit more in depth, but really the same thing, didn't you find that it was confirmation that your approaches?
It was. It was definitely confirmation.
Yeah.
Like even how the curriculum and the plans are set up, it was just like, okay, like, that is how I'm looking into things and finding different content to absorb and to pick through and to read through, and to listen and all of those things. Yeah. So it was definitely confirmation for me. Because when I started graduate school years ago, it was totally opposite from business. And it was a God thing for me too, because I was like, it has to be. It has to flow, financially, all those type of things. It has to, and it did.
Yeah.
And it did, yeah.
I love that.
And then you have to consider, same for me, okay, how do you make this work with given everything you have going on?
Yeah.
Given everything that you have going on, how do you make this work? Especially you're an older student.
Yeah. Absolutely. Have you heard the analogy about the boulders, the stones, and the sand?
No.
So there is this professor, and I can't recall his name, but basically he does this analogy where he takes a jar and he puts some sand in it. And then he takes the jar, in that same jar, he then puts in some stones or some rocks, and then he puts some boulders in. When he puts the boulders on top, they don't fit because the sand and the rocks has filled it up. So then he conversely dumps everything out and he puts the boulders in first. Then he puts the stones in, and then he puts the sand in, which fills in the gap, and then everything fits. The boulders represent what's most important. Those are your high priority level 1 things you gotta get done, right? And then that level 2, the stones, those are the nice to haves. I really want it, but I understand those are not my very top. And then the sand is everything else. And so what I had to learn how to do is reprioritize with those boulders first.
Good, yeah.
And my education was a boulder. Now, don't think I don't be sitting at home sometimes wishing, I sure wish I was out there at the event. I wish I was at the, let me get this homework done.
Because it's a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice.
It's a sacrifice. You have to be committed.
Yep.
And when you are working and you're typing and you're researching, don't you feel like you're in a whole different world?
I am. I really am. And I will tell you here, and my husband and I have this conversation because I work all day and then I do homework at night. And literally for me, it's about 20 hours a week worth of homework. It's a part-time job.
Yeah.
And so I'll be upstairs and I'll be in the office and this is all you hear, right? Getting everything done. And he down here laughing, watching something on TV. And I'm like,
You're a little jealous.
Then I come out, what you watching? Then I can go back in there and I'm like, oh, let me finish this homework.
Yeah.
Because it is, you feel like life is happening without you. But the truth is that you have to focus and be in that zone so you can get it done. And I used to, raising my kids, I used to always say, do what you have to do so you can do what you want to do. So I'm still in my have to do phases for some things.
That is a good point that you stated. You feel like life is happening without you because you do. You are so locked in, and then it's on this particular subject matter, and you're locked in. You can't really think about anything else at that moment.
Yeah.
The next day you can.
Once it's done.
Right.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But you can't.
This academic journey is more than a notion if you really want to be successful at it.
Yeah.
It's not something that you can kind of do just passing. And some people, I heard somebody say D's get degrees. I guess they do, but my tuition is the same. So I need to do the best I can while I'm here and learn what I can so I can really have something that I can apply and use to add value. So.
Yeah, something you bring to the table.
Absolutely.
And you spoke of value, which is the argument that you can say as to why people should continue with their education.
Absolutely.
Because we live in a world now where you have so many options to say, well, I don't necessarily have to, go and get a degree. And I can understand that, in a sense, I can get it. I'm still a firm believer in the education system still works. And you just have to find the avenue for you. Right. What are your thoughts on that?
I say it depends because I agree. I am so pro education, but I also recognize that traditional education isn't for everybody. Go be a plumber. Go be an electrician. Go be a hairstylist. Go be whatever you want to be, but that all requires some sort of formal education if you really want to be successful with it. I know so many bootleg hairstylists, just wonderful, but they don't want the responsibility of going to get that certificate, get that license, get that insurance. Now they ain't burnt all your hair off and you just mad. But you knew they were bootleg when you went there. So those are the risks, right?
Yeah, it's the education behind everything.
And that's it. It's behind everything. So I absolutely am very pro education. Now, I will also say, if you want to do plumbing, for example, unless you want to maybe own a conglomerate, you don't necessarily need a 4-year degree for that. You go through the technical training and you do the work. And so you just have to figure out what it is that you want.
So by the time because you have two 2 kids. And are they both still in school?
Nope.
They're done?
One is done.
Okay.
And one that actually graduates next week. So yeah, I'll say they're both done.
Yeah. So how did you navigate that, education talk in your household?
Education, again, it was never a question about whether or not you'll get an education. It was more a question of how.
Okay.
And so my daughter did the traditional 4-year track. As a matter of fact, I think, what did she do? I think she might have did 4.5 years and got a double degree. But my son, he is all technical. He's going to do technology, cyber. As a matter of fact, sidebar here, for that particular industry, again, depending on where you want to go with it.
Yeah.
My husband is in cybersecurity, and he actually says that because technology changes so fast, by the time you finish a 4-year degree, it's antiquated.
That makes sense, yeah.
So that's where you need to go to those boot camps and 1-year, 2-year training programs. And so it's not the traditional, but you'll still get the education.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, that's a field that's going to be around forever. So you're going to make good money.
Right. And it's so needed.
And it's needed.
Yeah. That's a great point.
Yeah.
It changes.
It's
so much.
Definitely changes.
So those 4 years you're studying, so much is changing.
Yeah.
So much is so many things are coming into the market.
Yeah. And so again, one of the things that I always say about education is that a degree will not qualify you, but a lack of a degree will disqualify you. So you have to be clear on what you want to do and your why, and that will influence your decision. Because if you are, again, if you want to be a plumber or an electric or tradesman, that's a better term. If you want to be some sort of a tradesman, you go for that training, you become part of a union, you're doing the work, you have your internship, life is great. But now if you want to run the company that you're working for, they might say, oh, well, you need a degree for this. And so that is where the differences come in. But education is just valuable, period.
Right.
There's no way around it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it.
So where do you see yourself 3 to 5 years from now?
3 to 5 years from now.
And it's specifically, what doctorate are you getting? What are you pursuing?
So my doctorate is in strategic leadership. My company, Life Empowered Consulting Services, I focus in 4 main areas. One of them is strategic planning, and then it's also leadership development or corporate training. I work with all levels of leadership, or all levels within an organization, not just the leadership. And then I also do motivational speaking, and then I also do executive coaching. And so the degree that I'm pursuing allows me to bring all of that together with that tangible information and insight that I'm gathering from that training. So it's a perfect program for me.
Yeah, it just perfectly aligns.
Yes. And it's so funny that each class that I'm in, as I'm taking or as I'm researching, as I'm learning, and I'm like, oh yeah, so this is what happened here, because it's part of my applied real life work experience today. Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, so this is the word for that, or this is the term.
True.
So it's
same with me. It's like, oh, okay, well, I can use this and apply this to this business in this way, in this format.
Yep.
Yeah. It's so, and that's how like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Absolutely.
At this moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's where you see the value in it at, because it's not only going to be great for you now, but it's also going to set you on a trajectory for later.
Yeah.
Because that's the stuff you already got under your belt. You're a life learner. So when you learn something new, you're just adding on and you're building on what you already have. So it's a great, great thing.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be done? Once you're done with this, are you done with school?
I am done with the traditional school.
Okay.
And I will say again, unless God comes down and sits next to me,
go get another degree.
Yeah, I definitely know that there's more training that I'm interested in. And again, that's really, at this point, even I didn't need the degree for the work that I'm doing. I have over 20 years of experience in this industry. I've always done this type of work, but it adds the credibility. And so one of the things about being a life learner is that it does keep you present with what's happening. It helps you stay current with what's going on in the industry, even in the leadership development industry. You know, there are so many theories and methodologies on what leaders should look like and how they should show up.
Yeah.
Well, do they work? Let's talk about that.
Right.
You know, does it work for organization A and not for B?
Yeah.
And so being able to understand those things and have that knowledge as you're going in serving, it just makes a difference. So I'll always be learning.
What does support look like for you from your village, from your friends, your family, on this educational journey?
That's such a good question because it really looks different depending on the day of the week, quite honestly. A few sessions, a few weeks ago, I was doing homework and I had my phone and I was texting and my husband said, "Aren't you supposed to be doing your homework?" I was like, "Yes." And he was like, "Do I have to take your devices?" And so he took my phone, he took my iPad.
He stripped you.
He stripped me of everything. And so then I went on my computer and I went on Facebook. I was like, my husband just took my stuff so I could do my homework. They were like, "How are you typing?" And so I was like, "I'm on my computer."
Yeah.
But, you know, it was funny, but it also was like,
that's support.
Focus. It was so supportive.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that I do, every time I finish a class, I post a update to Facebook.
And I seen that and I was so inspired by that. And I was like, wow, like, cause I knew you were in school, but it, you know, I know when we see things, it's a reminder. It's a reminder that, oh, you're not on this journey alone. Someone else is doing that. And so I love when you do that.
Thank you. Yeah. And that's my village. I called them when I first started the program. I called the village my accountability partner.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, he told me to do it. We're going to do it together, so on and so forth. And so I try to every class say, okay, this is class I'm on. I'm almost done, or this is my grade. Yeah. And it just helps me stay accountable.
It does. Yeah. What has been your feedback from that?
That is very supportive. And what's interesting is that when I want to quit, because I do have days where I'm like, you know what? I don't need this.
Yeah. I don't have to do this.
Yeah. But it is those moments like, you got this. I'm so proud of you. Or I'll have a girlfriend call, like, so how's school going? You know?
Yeah.
And so just to have the conversation about school makes a difference, and knowing that you have someone on the journey with you.
Right.
On Facebook, I've been part of doctoral groups.
Okay.
So there are minorities, so, you know, African Americans, or minorities in general, or women, or specifically the university that you go to, or for me it was Liberty. That's the university that I go to. And so we're out there cheering on each other. Yeah. And so when that post comes down where I just defended my dissertation, or I just finished this class, woohoo, or watch out for this, those are all for me types of support. And another thing that they did that I saw that was super valuable is that they would have these Zoom meetings, where you're not talking to anybody, but if you're up doing homework and I'm up doing homework, we're all on Zoom doing homework together.
Now that is something new I've never heard of.
I'm telling you, it's
really
transformational. We don't go to the same school. We're not in the same class. We just are not alone doing the thing that we got to do. The
power of technology. That's amazing.
Yep.
I love that. I'm going to have to look into that, because on the journey and, you know, consuming and so much information, absorbing so much information, you can feel that way.
Absolutely.
You can feel that way. And it goes back to what you're saying of just, I feel like I'm in another world. I feel like I'm missing out on something. But then if you're in community around people that are doing the same thing, you know, then it makes it much more smoother.
Absolutely.
And that's just like with anything in life, right? Like being in community with people who are doing what you're doing, on a, you know, they're chasing their dreams and their goals just like you.
Yep. Yeah. And it's so good to get the stories of those people, because, you know, one of the first things in like our classes online as well, you have to do the introductions at the beginning of the class.
Yeah.
Right? And so you see the stories of the women who have 4 kids, or the husband or the man that's military. And so, he was in Afghanistan starting the program, and now he's trying to finish it. So there are all of these dynamics, and it's like, okay, girl, you just wanted to go out, to hang out with your girlfriends. Get over there and do that. Right. And it just puts it in perspective for you.
Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Because seeing other people's low, you're like, okay, I do have a low, but they have a low too. Yeah.
And that we're all navigating through it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're all here doing it in spite of what the low is.
In spite of what it is. Yeah.
We're all navigating.
And I would argue to say, depending on how people's life goes, because I do believe in timing and things happen when they're supposed to happen. If you can, do it while you're young, because it is different when you're older.
Yep.
When you have those lows,
yep.
Like you have all these balls that you're carrying,
yep.
and one of them you're like, okay, I may have to set this down for 2 years, 3 years, while I'm managing this program. Yeah,
absolutely.
Talk about that though. Like, how do you feel as an adult learner versus when you were younger?
Honestly, I've always been an adult learner. I went to school right after high school, and I was terrible. My life, I got married at 18. I don't know if you know that, but I got married at 18. I did go to school. I was at UWM for about 2 years, but I just wasn't successful at it. So I didn't get my first degree, I think, until I was in my 30s.
Okay.
And so I've always been kind of an adult learner, but I think that for me, having the kids, I wanted to make sure that there was a standard set for them.
Okay.
And so I always say, like, the first degree was for the kids. The second degree was for the business. So my bachelor's was for the kids to say, at the very least, this is what you'll do. The master's was for the business, because as I wanted to grow in corporate America, there is a level of expectation.
Yes.
As I said, degrees can be disqualifiers, and so I didn't want that. And then this doctorate degree is really for me.
Yes.
So that I can serve.
Yes.
Yeah, I've always been an adult learner. It's always been tough because it's always been something. But guess what? It always will be.
It always will be.
It always will.
It always will be. And that's why it's like I said, like, you definitely, I will encourage if you can start. But it really, it all depends on how your life goes.
Yeah, absolutely.
It all depends, and God's timing.
Yeah. And the other thing I'll add to that is when you are going through like a traditional job, corporate America, see what benefits they offer. So I talked about, school initially being for the kids and then for me. My doctorate degree, the company that I worked for paid for that. And so timing is everything. If you are currently working for a company, you are thinking about going back to school, and they will pay your tuition. They have tuition reimbursement. Why spend that money?
Go for
it.
Go
for it.
So we have something in common because that is my story.
Absolutely.
As well. Yes. So you just go for it. You do that, and being that we both are, business women, and it can be often pushed so much of stepping away from your 9 to 5. Well, that is one of our benefits, from working with those particular organizations.
And you know what people don't understand? I love what I do. I love being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But I will say in a heartbeat, if I could find a company that would pay me to do what I do, what I want to be paid, at the level of flexibility that I want, I'd work there.
It has to be some flexibility.
There has to be some flexibility, because when you are a business owner, where we get kind of confused sometimes is that there's a difference between doing the business and running the business. And as a business owner, you have to do both.
Say it again.
Doing the business,
break it down,
and running the business.
So true.
You got to do running the business. That's payroll. That's going out and getting clients. That's building the pipeline. That is making sure you have all the lights on, making sure you have all the equipment, making sure you have all the insurance, making sure all the things that are in place so that you can now do the business, which is going out coaching, for me, going out training, or whatever that is. Those are two very different things.
Very different.
But I love the coaching. I love the training. I love the leadership development. So if I could find somebody that will pay me $1 million to do all of that, and I don't have to, why not? not?
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
And the other thing too that we forget is that as entrepreneurs, we need clients.
Yeah.
And so we can't mistreat the people that are working for organizations or more traditional companies because we're entrepreneurs. That's who we're going to get our business from.
Right.
So we need each other.
We need each other.
We need it all.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And is that some of the advice that you are giving to people who, I'm pretty sure you have conversations with people and they say, I want to quit my job, or I'm ready to quit my job. I see what you're doing, or, and they may be wondering how you're doing what you're doing. What is your advice to those people who are saying that they want to quit their job?
I'm really transparent about what it takes.
Okay.
I'm really transparent about what it takes. And SCORE, there's it's a program with retired professionals. It's across the country. It's a national program, and they're volunteers.
Okay.
And so you can reach out to them and you can talk to them about learning how to do different things, right? They have experts in law, experts in finance, experts in business plans, so on and so forth.
Okay.
This program actually has an assessment that you can take to determine whether or not you would be a good entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I took the assessment, and I did not fare well. And the reason why I didn't fare well is because there is a bit of a grit that you have to have, a bit of a hustle, a hard hustle that you really have to have in order to make a business successful, like most of us say we want. The challenge with that is, for me specifically, I have been blessed in my professional life. I've been blessed in my personal life that I got the dog or I got the grit, but I don't need to use it.
Yeah.
I need it.
I don't know if I want to do that.
Exactly.
Make that type of sacrifice.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And
yeah.
and that makes a difference. And so I have the conversations about, I need you to be clear on what this really takes.
Mm-hmm.
Even social media, even people, everybody blowing up on YouTube and LinkedIn. Those folks is working hours on top of hours. It doesn't just happen.
Yeah.
And you have to understand that. You have to understand the business.
So you paint the real picture. For your clients or people who are coming to you, friends and family. You paint that real picture.
Yeah. And I'm supportive. It's not even that I'm anti-do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
I just want you to know. I want you to be able to walk in eyes wide open.
Mm-hmm.
It looks great.
Mm-hmm.
It looks glamorous. It looks lovely. Yeah, that's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what it really is.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about those nights you're staying up. Have you ever put a conference together and you up till 3:00 in the morning?
Wow.
Finishing, and then you got to be up at 8 smiling. You know what I mean?
Right. It takes work.
It takes something.
Work.
You got to know that.
Yeah.
It doesn't just happen.
Yeah. Give us 3 ways that we can continue to elevate and evolve as a lifelong learner, because someone is watching this and they're possibly going to consider going back to school.
Yeah.
So what are some 3 tips that can help us to make the decision to go back to school?
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, then how are we going to connect with institutions and people to elevate on our lifelong learner journey?
That's good. So here's the thing. The first thing is that pay attention to timing. If you're going to go or not go to school, understand your why. And that's not just at a doctorate level, that's at any level. Understand your why. Pay attention to timing, because sometimes when the water is troubled, that's the time to jump in.
Yeah.
And then the third thing around that is that you have to talk to people. Get connected with folks, right? So that's the going to school. Now, if you're not going to go to school, let's start with the same thing. The first thing, get connected to people, not people that are like you.
Interesting.
Get around people that are not like you. Get around people that do not think how you think, and get in the room and close your mouth. Just listen. Because they're going to tell you something, they're going to teach you some things, and be attentive. Get your notebook out, take notes, do whatever, but find those people. The other thing is to find some programs, some master classes, some boot camps that will elevate you. And then the third thing is to find your courage to do it all.
Yes.
Find it and just lean into it.
I love all of those.
Okay.
Now, going back to the programs,
Mm-hmm.
you offer programs, trainings. What is something that you offer that someone can take advantage of?
Quite honestly, most of my work is with corporate clients. And so, however, I pride myself on being available for people.
Okay.
So if there was anybody who genuinely was interested in something, they could just reach out to me and I could figure out what I could do to support them.
Yeah.
With that said, I do have what I call my Life Empowered University, where I actually have coaching classes. I have Microsoft classes. I have whatever class that you need, leadership development, handling conflict, all of those things. And that's available. And you can, again, reach out to me and we can figure out what you need. I love to talk to people because sometimes what people think they need and what they really need is not the same.
Yeah.
So I
having
like
that one-on-one, face-to-face conversation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, instead of just clicking, signing up, and then it's like, that's not what I thought I was going to get.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, definitely just reach out to me, ask the questions, and I will figure out a way to support you. And if I can't support you, I've built a network of amazing people who can. Yeah. So, and that's really what it's about. It's about these partnerships and these relationships in your network.
Yeah. Now, what are you anticipating? And I've been thinking about this myself, but I am so excited to celebrate this journey. I'm making the decision to return to school to get a doctorate. I am.
I love it.
So just so you know and everybody knows, I am. But what I want to do is enjoy the moment.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy the moment. So I'm not going to do back to back.
Good.
I'm going to enjoy the time, but I have made the decision. So people like you and others that I know have encouraged me to say, just go for it. Just go for it. Or one of my mentors, well, you might as well just go ahead and just go and get this, but it has to make sense. And I know it will in God's time. So I'm excited about that. That is what I'm anticipating for the future in my lifelong journey. Aside from managing my businesses, what are you anticipating? How are you going to celebrate with your family? What's going on?
So to celebrate my completion, I haven't decided yet. The same year that I graduate, I will also be turning 50, so I'll have a milestone birthday. Okay. So I'm thinking about something around that, but then I'm also thinking a great, international trip. Maybe both. We'll just have to figure it out.
Do it all.
Just do it all. So that's honestly what I'm thinking. But I really, right now, I just want to get done. Meaning, not just to check it off to say I'm done, but really to absorb what the information is that I'm reading and learning and gathering every day. So you are going to really just turn things up in your completion and your new evolution of being a lifelong learner. Thank you.